That's it right there, T-Nip.
What's up, YouTube? This is CrownSpectro back here with another video for you guys, and today we're going to be talking about the death of skating games. I mean, particularly, I would rather talk into like Tony Hawk games, because Tony Hawk was one of those popular, fun games that everybody played back during the PS2 and PS1 days. Even PS3 Tony Hawk games were pretty popular. Even on the Wii, the Tony Hawk games popular. That's actually where I first played Tony Hawk game, was on the Wii, actually, surprisingly. And I just enjoy Tony Hawk a lot. Like, I enjoy playing Tony Hawk games a lot, you know. I didn't really think I would have fun playing a skateboarding game, but I did. And to that surprisement, then that led to me playing more Tony Hawk games, and I ended up playing and enjoying a lot in most of the franchise's games. But the question I had to ask here is, whatever happened to the popular genre of skating games, you know? Like, you don't really hear about skating games much these days. You know, they kind of just disappeared. Like they just fell out of sight. Like, you know, you just never hear from them like that anymore. I mean, I'm not even sure if there's been a new Tony Hawk game since the Pro Skater 5 in like 2015. I'm not sure if I'm not, but I think they might have been. I may not just have been paying no attention to the Tony Hawk skater games. And I know there's more than just Tony Hawk games, the skater games. Like, they have like the snows. I remember playing a snow skiing like skateboard game before. I had tons of fun playing, but I honestly cannot remember the name of that game for the life of me. I just remember that you snowboard on the game and like you skiing around. I remember that game, but I honestly just can't remember the name of it. Anyways, I had a lot of fun playing that too. I don't know, it gave me also that skateboarding feel, and I just want to know, like, what led to the death of skateboard games? Like, the skateboard games just weren't fun anymore, or were times were now just changing, where new kids were growing up, a different generation, they just weren't like us, they didn't enjoy playing skating games? But I don't think that's the cause. To be truly honest, I just don't think that skating games are being promoted or, you know, being talked about as they were back during the days of PS2, Xbox 360, you know, the original Wii, all sorts of. It was a different time, a different era for games, and maybe that was during a time where skating games were very popular and pretty much pretty dominant in the market of gaming. But now you just don't hear about these games like that anymore, you know? Like Tony Hawk games, yeah, you mention a Tony Hawk game, people are gonna know what you're talking about. But if you're talking about, like, if you be like, let's go play a Tony Hawk game, well, people's gonna kind of go and be like, hey, you know, not saying that they're boring or anything, but, you know, it just, I guess there's just more games out these days. There are more, well, I can't say that. I mean, there are more games out these days, but in my personal opinion, I just don't feel like these games have the full potential that they could be, like the games that came back out back in the day, you know? Like, they release a new game now, and most times, 9 times out of 10, the game will have many flaws in it, bugs, glitches. It's so many things that's gonna be wrong with that game. And not to mention the content of the game. It's not enough content for you to constantly, you know, keep playing. And once you beat the game, it kind of has no replay value. That's where we are at. That's the point we're at these days in games, where you play games and you beat the game, but, you know, it wasn't fun enough for you to go back and play that game again, you know? Like, there's some games out here that you can do that, but there are some games where you just, well, I should say a lot of games now that, like, you play the game, you beat the game, you done everything you could, and then maybe you want to start up, maybe you just want to refresh yourself, maybe you want to try something new, but still, it still doesn't feel the same, you know? You grow bored a mix of replaying the game, or it just wasn't as fun as it was the first time. And maybe due to that is why most games these days die out so quickly. I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed how games these days, they die out quickly. Like DLC content, they don't release as much DLC content for new games as they did back in PS3 days. Well, most time PS3 games or PS2 games have so much content on it without paying a dime. All you have to do is pay for the game and they'll come up with so much content. You know, content for you to play for days. You know, you will never get bored. It'll be plenty of stuff for you to play. It's like, you just don't see that in games anymore. And this goes back to my point of saying how skating games died, you know. But skating games, in my opinion, the true reason, if I want to believe, to why skating games themselves have died out, well, I just want to say that they're just not you know, they're not as popular anymore. I put it like that. It's not that people don't like skating games. It's just that they're just not as popular. They're more. I just think that they don't interest people as much as they did back in the day. You know, it's like people are just not as interested in playing a skating game as they would. They want to play some other battle royale game or something of the sort that like that. Personally, I don't really enjoy battle royale games. I have nothing against them. I just find them kind of boring sometimes. And most times I just don't play battle royale games. I prefer solo, you know, single player games or online multiplayer. Something kind of online multiplayer sometimes. But I don't mind battle royales. But you know, personally, I just don't constantly like playing battle royales all day, every day. You know, I might play it every so often, but I just can't play battle royales a lot constantly. I prefer a solo, good story game that can keep me good, keep me interested, something that has good replay value to it, and that's a game that's got me going. And PS3, Xbox 360 had those sort of games, and now these days you just don't see that coming towards PS4 or Xbox One, or you know, you just don't see that anymore in games. And maybe I feel like that's kind of what led to the Devil Skating games, because they just didn't have the new skating games didn't have, like, Tony Hawk's new games don't have the same replay value as they did of the old Tony Hawk's, you know, skating games. And that's okay, you know. Maybe they just, you know, it was an era for Tony Hawk games to thrive and be successful, but now I guess that time has finally come to an end for all skating games, you know. But I feel like if they truly were to want to, they could make something really work with this skating game, and they can make something really happen with skating games and other sports games. They can really make something popular out of these games, and I have faith that these games can return back to the top one day. You guys tell me what you think down in the comment section below. Do you believe skating games can make that return? I'll see you guys in the next video.